Money Matters now, and we're joined by our finance expert Scott Phillips, Chief Investment Officer from Motley. Scott, good evening. Jobs data will dominate the week ahead. The all-important labour force figures for October out Thursday. What can we expect?
Peter, good evening. These are going to be the biggest numbers of the week, of course, the unemployment figures. We're coming off 4.6% last month, and economists expecting something similar again. Forecast for 4.6, 4.7. This is going to be one of those numbers, though, that if it goes up because plenty of people join or rejoin the labour force, that'll actually be a good sign. So, as always, the percentage is interesting. The number of jobs created, though, is where we'll really be looking. Hopefully, that's a good positive number for us this week.
ANZ, NAB and Westpac will be dropping plenty of business and consumer sentiment surveys this week as well.
Yeah, you know I love my confidence numbers, Peter. The business and consumer confidence numbers are the best leading indicator in terms of how the economy is going to roll out. The money that people are spending, the hiring and the investing that businesses are doing, these are really, really important indicators. We're expecting both to be positive this week. We might see business confidence tick up a little bit and consumer sentiment maybe fall a touch, but from decent levels, good levels, and again, with the reopening well underway, that'll be enough for us to keep the economy moving forward, so fingers crossed there as well.
OK, let's take a quick look overseas. The focus is on inflation readings in both China and the United States. That will no doubt have implications right around the world.
They really will. Look, we know inflation's been big on our docket here, but what happens overseas matters so dramatically. It impacts, of course, on the economic activity, particularly China with terms of economics, manufacturing, investment, and in the US on consumer spending. Those are really, really big numbers. And of course, the really important interest rates. While most of our bank funding here is from Australian depositors, a decent minority comes from overseas. And if the US Fed and other central banks around the world see fit to increase their interest rates before the RBA is ready here, that will put pressure on the banks to increase their numbers as well. So while we look at the RBA and spend most of our time focused on that, if we do get really strong inflation out of the rest of the world, we will see rates go up sooner rather than later.
OK, finally, what can we expect when the share market opens here tomorrow?
Good to finish with some good news, Peter. At the moment, the Australian futures look like a gain of just under 1/3 of 1%.
Scott Phillips from Motley, our money man. Thanks for joining us, as always, on the Late News.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Peter.